you? Not the tablet being dead. I see my tablet dead, I think. Right? Nah, it's my own fault. This is when you don't, you don't keep your things in order. here. After a little technical snafu in the beginning, because I was on one scene and then it went to another. But in any event, actually, wait 1 second, let me close my door. And we're back. Sorry about that. Yes. So we're here, last live of 2025. And then I'll see you guys in the new year, bars. And the hot drink remains what it is, coffee with some creamer. Because, you know, I definitely needed it after the weekend. Well, the weekend wasn't that busy. It was more chill, but then it got busy suddenly because I wasn't supposed to do anything on Sunday. But then I got an invitation, which I'll talk about in a bit. The hot take, if your coconut tart is dry, you should not be selling coconut tart. That's the hot take, that's it. I don't have any deep thought for y'all today. It's the Christmas season, so everything is basically, if it ain't about that, I don't want to hear it. Hope everyone, you know, has their Christmas plans, don't pack. But yes, that's the hot take. If your coconut tart is dry, I don't want it. I don't want it. If any of your tart is dry, if your crust is that super crumbly crust that don't hold together under the scrutiny of a discerning eye, I don't want it neither. With that being said, I'm looking forward to the tarts that I know are going to be good. My sister's in charge of ordering that, and yeah, I'm just hoping that, you know, we're not too late. The word of the day, because I'm gonna dive right into that. And again, as a note, if you're just joining me on this vocabulary building journey, I've changed up the word of the day. So we have the word, a fun fact about it, and its etymology, meaning where did it come from. Of course, it's brought to you by Merriam-Webster Dictionary. And the word of the day for today, December 16th, is conversant. And conversant, which is usually used in the phrase conversant with, it describes someone who has knowledge of or experience with something. So what we kind of see is people who think they are conversant in a thing, but they're actually not. So a sentence would be, the ideal candidate for the sommelier position will have expert knowledge of the various wines served in the restaurant and be conversant with the rich world of viniculture. And there's a lot of potential word of the days in that one example sentence, but we'll have to touch base with that in another part. So the fun fact is, conversant and conversational both descend from the Latin verb conversare, meaning to associate with. Dates back to the Middle Ages. An early meaning of the word was simply having familiar association. And one way to associate with others is to have a conversation with them, in other words, to talk. And for a short time in the 19th century, conversant could mean relating to or suggesting conversation. But for the most part, that meaning kind of stuck with conversational, while conversant went in a different direction. So that's, you know, it means association with. Sometimes in the US, they'll say able to talk in a foreign language, which is conversant in several languages. So that's where that comes from. And then, yeah, so that's the word of the day and the etymology of the word of the day. And going in, game of the month is still Rand Simulator. It's December. I'll be honest with you guys. I have bees now. I have a singular beehive. I don't have bees. I have one singular beehive. You also have to catch wild bees in the game. So you have to buy a smoker. You have to smoke them out on the tree when you happen to hear them or see the hive on the tree trunk. And then you have to collect them on your hive frame and then transfer them to the hive back at the ranch. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of driving back and forth. I don't yet have honey to sell because I couldn't play the game for very long, and obviously it's generating, you know, honey while you're in the actual while you're actually playing the game. So once I get some honey, hopefully by the next time we have a live, I'll have honey. I'll have played the game for at least an hour to have it, and then I'll be able to yeah, share with you guys my ranch simulator journey, and hopefully I find another game to play because it's a lot. It's a lot. Farming is a lot. That's all I can say. Diving right into, and I still have to work my way up to a dairy cow, but it's expensive. So hopefully the honey sells for more than the plank sell for, and I can buy a cow and we can get some milk and we can make some cheese, and then I might actually be able to make some money in Rand Simulator. Because right now I'm broke. I'm a farmer in the Great Depression. That's what I am. Diving right into the main topics that I want to update you guys on. Oh, you know what? Let me do this before Suzette, before I gotta hear my chief of staff. I have a big head, so this is the hat. Anyway, because she forgot her hat that she was going to lend me. So for Marie Genevieve de Weaver, the update I want to give is students have been moved back to the top floor classrooms. You may have seen me post last week about the visit I paid to see where the works were at. The second phase of work should commence shortly on the ground floor classrooms. The stop order, however, from the inspector de VSA continues for the ground floor while we work on that. And then once those are done, we'll be able to move students into those classrooms as well. But so far, the ones that needed to be moved have been moved. I want to thank again Division Exams for allowing some classes to be housed in their space while these initial emergency works were done, and then the students as well for their patience, school management for their patience. And I want to thank Koiman as well for assisting us with the rapid purchase of the spikes to be installed to deter the pigeons. Once these emergency fixes are done at Marie Genevieve de Weaver and all classrooms are back in their assigned space, then we're going to look at a wider project to deal with similar pigeon infestations at other public schools. It is a challenge. I feel like everywhere I go, I see more and more pigeons. I'm not sure what the solution would be for that, to be honest. I mean, I have a thought of what the solution should be, but it might not be the solution that some want to hear. And I'll leave you to think about what that is. Secondly, as I said last week, that was my check at Marie Genevieve de Weaver. And then I said, I mentioned over the weekend, I ended up getting a little busy, mainly because I had two things to pop in by. The first of which being the Creatives Guild AGM, Annual General Meeting. So many of you may not know that we actually have a Creatives Guild. It was supposed to actually start off, I think, in 2020, and then a little thing called COVID happened. So it never really got off the ground. The Creatives Guild is meant to be sort of a incubator space, a development space for creatives, whether you're a graphic designer, a painter, a comic book artist, filmmaker, musician, singer, songwriter, anything you could think of that requires you to be creative. This is essentially where you're meant to come through for your own professional and personal development. So they had their AGM on Saturday here at the government building. There will be another extraordinary meeting on January 31st for the election of the new board. I'm going to post the link to their Facebook page in the comments after this. Hopefully I remember, but you can find it if you search the Sim Martin Creatives Guild. Sim Martin spelled ST.MARTIN. And then you can like the page, follow it for more updates. I know there's a membership drive that's going to be coming up soon. And I want to say that much like what we have done in sports, the pathway to endorsement and recognition from the government side will be through the guild. This is how it is structured in most Caribbean islands, in most countries actually. The best example I could think of that's more recent for you guys' memory is the National Cultural Foundation in Barbados, which of course guided the organization and execution of CariFesta. You have similar entities in Trinidad and Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis, and so forth. So that is something that the ministry is going to support as best as it can. So check it out, the Creatives Guild. If you like to splash colors on a canvas, if you like to sketch, if you like to act, if you want to take our naturally dramatic and fiery personality and turn it into a soap opera, by all means, the Creative Guild is where you need to be. So that's the January 31st is going to be their next extraordinary meeting to elect the new board. And I want to say as well that this is where I think we struggle a lot in any organization, sports, creatives, etc., boards. Guys, there's a lot of work that goes into doing the things that you see happen on the street, It doesn't just happen overnight. And so having strong board members to, kind of handle the day-to-day running of an organization, the fundraising aspect of it, it's important. So if this is something that you think you're interested in, by all means pass by January 31st. Further details will be shared on their Facebook page, which, as I mentioned, I'm gonna share with you all in the comments after. And then Sunday, I attended the Grand Piano Studio recital. I was invited to attend. Teacher Shama Richardson and her students actually put on an excellent show. It was really great to see that trajectory of artistic development on display. Once again, something that the Creatives Guild can assist in at a later point once they've gotten themselves running. So you had like the mini maestros, which was very cute, little kids just starting their musical journey. Then it continued through to the older kids, and I'm not gonna lie, some of them were carrying on like it was Phantom of the Opera, which I loved. So my favorite piece, Farrah Lee, was played as well, and it's always a good time when that Beethoven number pops up. So I want to say congrats to all the kiddos and to Teacher Shama and the crew at GPS. And if you're a fan of classical music and piano like I am, be sure to check them out. Fun fact, I'm waiting for the adult classes to start because I always wanted to learn piano and drums, which are wild opposite instruments, I know. But I was pushed into choir instead. Shout out to Mrs. Van Veen. And then second fun fact, Teacher Shama is actually the daughter of one of my top 3 favorite teachers ever, Miss Napolina Richardson. She was my history teacher at St. Dominic, and I think she was also Academy's history teacher, but I claim her for the St. Dominic crew. So yeah, really great stuff happening at GPS as they call it. And then Monday, I kicked off my week with 2 things, 2 visits. One, teacher training at NEPA. We actually have some trainers from Curaçao's version of division exams and SBO coordination. They're on island at NEPA conducting a training in test construction primarily, so showing them how to build, tests and so forth, because people actually have to write those. Whenever you saw if Johnny has 10 apples on your math test in school, someone had to write that. Why was it always Johnny? Why did he always have just 10 apples? The world may never know. But yes, so I passed by yesterday to welcome them and to officially open the training. Thank you to Yvette Halley, Division Head for Exams in Martin, for coordinating this. I view it as one more step towards improving our education ecosystem, and I'm especially glad that it starts at NEPA, because if you saw the recent article out of Curacao that vocational education has not been preparing students as it should be, test construction, teaching methodologies, and other professional development tools is what is needed to address that, and I'm happy that we're already ahead of that game to address, our own challenges here. I want to give a thank you as well to Juliska and Esther, the trainers, for the S cookies. If you've never had one of these cookies, you've obviously never been to Curacao during the Christmas time. This is a very Curacao Christmassy thing. It's a peanut cookie, and it will change your life. This with like a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, as I'm about to have it once I get off this live, is just a fundamental part of growing up amongst these islands. So thank you again to them for very last minute grabbing some of these and bringing them to me here in St. Martin. And then after NEPA, I passed by, I paid a visit to MAC, John A. Gums campus, the JAG campus, Group 7A. So a little bit of history. I started reading to these kids when they were in Group 6A with Teacher Tong. And then I reached out to their new teacher when they hit 7A to continue to visit them and track their academic progress, because we really got attached to each other. The book I read them last year was The First Cat in Space Ate Pizza. I've talked about that book before. They also drew me some comics based on the second book in that series, which hang on my wall right here in my office. So I've unofficially adopted them, I guess, and I'm very curious to see, how they continue to grow and develop. And we stopped by yesterday. I thought we talked about what they've learned in this new year. They said, the work has gotten tougher, which is to be expected. I'm happy to see there's at least one math whiz in the class as well. They asked me questions on how the ministry is doing. They also asked me once again to make a law abolishing pineapple on pizza, which I can't do that, though I would love to. And then we had pizza together. Shout out to Domino's for making sure that it was delivered on time while I was there. And yeah, what I found interesting though And interesting in a good way. We were talking about video games because obviously they know I'm a big gamer, and we have a pending date for them to show me how to play Fortnite because what even is that? And I mentioned a guest spot on the live. Yeah, I should bring some of them on the live. I'm sorry, also on TikTok. So what I mentioned, that they had to teach me how to play Fortnite. Then we also got on the topic of Roblox, and I asked them, do you guys play Roblox online? And who do you play with? And a few of them said, they do play online, but only with their friends and who they know. And I said, okay. I said that's good. And then they were kind of just talking about it amongst themselves and also to me. And a few of them said, yeah, no, we don't talk to strangers because Roblox, it's got pedophiles on it. I was like, so I said, you know what? I'm glad that you know this. And it's been reported very recently across different gaming news networks and just the regular news that Roblox is actually a hunting ground. They found in the US and in Europe that you do have pedophiles who pretend to be kids, get close to kids in Roblox. And Roblox itself, which is why I don't encourage it for my friends' kids to play, just I don't believe in supporting it, they have not expressed willingness to do anything to actually protect their gamers and kids about that. So I thought that was a very interesting point for them to make. It also means that there's a certain level of digital literacy that is happening with their parents and also with the kids. And that's also very important, right? About as we talk about digital literacy, as we talk about literacy in general, this also plays a role. Being aware online, how to be safe online. I always tell parents, you cannot stop kids from getting into gaming. Either their friends are going to be gaming. If they go over to a friend's house, they're going to be gaming online, whether it's they're playing Roblox, they're playing Fortnite, they're playing Battlefield, Marvel Rivals, whatever. And every game has the potential to have bad people in it. If you've ever played Halo on Xbox Live around Halo 2, we're talking, early 2000s. You know the things people say about you, your mother, everybody. And learning that digital literacy and how to be safe online while gaming is something that I kind of had to learn ad hoc. There is a ratings agency. I always talk to parents about the fact that there are ratings on these games. If you are a parent and you want to play Call of Duty with your kid, you have to be able to frame that game in context with them because Call of Duty is rated M, guys, for mature. It's not rated E for everyone, like these hands. So I think it's always important to have that conversation with them. So I was really happy to see that these kids, my kids, knew about the risks of playing online in Roblox. And I want to make sure that this is something that everybody kind of learns and that, whether it's a school or your parents are telling you about this and talking to you about this is also important. So yeah. So that was that was my day yesterday, and of course week before last, as I mentioned, we launched the application round for the MECYS Youth Cabinet. All secondary schools are invited to propose a youth cabinet rep and an alternate, and they're going to be invited to this first meeting in February with me, and then we're going to continue on. So we have a few questions on the TikTok live. I haven't really checked the Facebook to see if there's any questions or comments there. But yes, I was at a previous lunch at NEPA. We were invited to participate in a special lunch based on their homework from the Anguilla trip that we took with some of the students. So they prepared a special menu all around healthy eating, and it was really good. The main dish, I think I posted on my Instagram. The main dish was like a roasted eggplant situation with quinoa, and eggplant is such a picky vegetable, but it tasted good. Normally I don't like it, but it was actually really good at NEPA. Every time I eat at NEPA, it's actually a great experience. The salad dressing, I believe, had crack in it because it was just that delicious, basil infused, and so did the opening drink that we had. What about Carnival? What about Carnival? Who you jamming with? I know who I'm jamming with. Love Lux Mass. So yeah, so that was basically my week. And Youth Cabinet, we've gotten some of the representatives' names already. I'm pretty sure the deadline is in January, so the other secondary schools will probably respond by then with their representatives. And then, other than that, To touch a bit on the EGRA-EGMA, there is going to be two presentations planned. Firstly, we're going to try to see if we can go to Parliament. Uh, and then after that, there will be a presentation done to the entire Council of Ministers, because when you see education pass rates start to kind of fail, it sometimes signals something deeper. And myself and the Minister of VSA have also talked about the fact that there's socioeconomic challenges that face many of our students, many of their parents, and that will always have a bearing on how they perform in school. So that's something that we're going to continue to discuss as a COM. How can we address it? But overall, as I said, improving literacy and numeracy is a community effort. Even though I don't like math, it's my responsibility to also encourage students to, build that interest in math, at least basic math. Yesterday, like I said, there's a couple math geeks in Group 7A at MacJag, and I'm really hoping that they continue to nurture that skill in them and develop that, because those are the future architects of this world, etc. A lot can be done with AI, but there are certain things that it will never be able to replicate or replace entirely. I'm sorry that you missed it because you were sick, but next time, for sure, when I come to NEPA, everybody better be there. So those were my updates for now. As I mentioned, the hot take of the day continues. If your TART is dry, I don't want it. This weekend, there's Phillipsburg Becomes Magical. Definitely looking forward to attending that, because I always cop some goodies there. Sends by K. Shout out Carrie. Please have my body butter on deck. And then a couple other boots that also sell TART, but TART that I like. So looking forward to grabbing some of those. So hope to see you all on the boardwalk. It starts Friday, but I will not be there Friday. I'm gonna be there Saturday, because that's peak night. And maybe I'll pass by Sunday in the early hours just to do one last walkthrough and see what we want to grab. So I wish everybody a very pleasant holiday season, a very safe holiday season. Act like you have sense. If you know that your coconut had rock socks, invite me. I will be there. But wishing everyone a safe and pleasant Christmas season. Enjoy it with your loved ones. And oh my goodness, how could I forget? Saturday night, guys. Lions bingo. I have a bone to pick with the bingo ball distributor. How dare you not pop up with 074 when that's the one number I needed for the Santa bag? And not that I needed the Santa bag, but you know how many books I could have bought for schools with $1,000? You lot. I was so upset. But in any event, it was a fun time at the Lions Bingo on Saturday, packed to the brim. I never want to wait that long for chicken again. So next time, KFC ladies, make sure you have your line. Make sure you have your line sorted, your line logistics. I can't be standing on the side neatly lined up with my people, and you just taking people in the front. I didn't like it. It made me feel away. But no, it was always a fun vibe to hear people cussing, people cussing the bingo caller. It was just a lot happened, a lot of chaos. People had like boards with the office clips, those big paper clips, with their 9, 10 cards laid out on their board, and still didn't win anything. But yeah, I had 4 cards, and then as my group started to dwindle, I ended up with a few more. But it didn't help me. It didn't help me at all. That one number, 074, you and me machine, we have beef until next year. But congrats to the Lions for another successful bingo. It always remains a fun time, even if I don't win. But at least my sister won a raffle prize, so at least one of the group won. You always want at least that. Your batting average may be low, but at least you have one. So yes, so that was great. And so yes, again, wishing everybody a fantastic Christmas season. I hope you have a wonderful and joyous time.